Welcome to Edible Architect. I'm Patrick McConville, and for the December edition, we will be baking and building Gnome Home using our Edible Architect cookie cutter construction set and our Gnome Home wood grain cookie texture roller. Gnome Home is a woodland themed design, and it is something that I designed for a customer and now good friend of mine named Melina. Melina hosts a gingerbread house decorating party every year, and this year, for the 15th anniversary, she wanted something special. Melina shared with me that she and her family have a tradition where any chores around the house that go undone and are miraculously done are done by gnomes. And so they have gnomes that do the various tasks around the house that people are supposed to do and do not, such as the laundry, the gardening, and changing out the decorative kimono that hangs in the living room. And so to accompany this design, I have included 3 gnomes with accessories so that we can put them all to work doing those various tasks. This is something that you could bake any time of year as just a fun woodland and gnome themed design, but I think it is perfect for Christmas. So I will be decorating this for Christmas using some red and green, some garlands, and maybe some flowers throughout the design. But you could really use it anytime other than Christmas as well. The cookie recipe that we'll be using is an original recipe for ginger spice snap cookies. And so it's a little bit of a fresh take on gingerbread cookies. So if you don't like molasses and some of the things that tend to make for a softer cookie, this recipe will be something that'll be a lot crispier and lighter and might be something that fits the bill for you. When you're ready to begin making the dough for our walls, please go ahead and grab your rolling pin, your cookie cutter construction set and texture roller, as well as your waterproof blueprints, and then come back to the kitchen and we can get started. To make your dough, assemble all of your ingredients. You'll need granulated sugar, room temperature egg whites, vanilla extract, room temperature unsalted butter, and then here I have whisked together all of our dry ingredients, which are cake flour, ground ginger, ground cinnamon, ground cloves, baking soda, salt, and allspice. And to get started, you can add your butter to your mixer. Along with your sugar and vanilla. And then cream those together until you have a nice smooth and fluffy consistency. Once those are fluffy, you can add your egg whites one at a time, beating well after each addition. Once those are both incorporated, you can add your dry mixture in half-cup increments until it has all been added, and then you want to mix until you have a consistency that's clay-like, so something that you'll be able to mold, not too sticky, but not too dry so that it is crumbly and too hard to work with. And when you're finished, you should have a clay-like consistency. And you can remove your dough from your bowl and then split it into 2 balls and roll each ball in plastic wrap. And your dough you can either use right away or you can store it in the refrigerator for 24 to 48 hours in advance, but try not to store it any earlier in advance than that. When you're ready to begin baking your cookies, gather everything that you'll need. First, your waterproof blueprints. Second, some clay tools or some kind of tools that will enable you to pry the window and door openings out of their cutouts. A rolling pin, and in this case I have fitted it with some 1/8 inch rolling pin bands to make sure that I get a nice even thickness to all of my cookies. My 2 dough balls, and then my cookie cutter construction set. And the way that this set is designed to work is that each piece has some tree trim that will go in front of it. So you will bake each of the walls, so in this case the back wall, and then each of the pieces of tree trim that goes over it. And for the back wall, we have 1 piece. For each of the side walls, 1 piece as well. And then for the front wall, there are 2 different pieces. And so you'll see how those align, the one with the larger opening on the right-hand side and the other on the left-hand side. To go with the kit, I have also included this wood grain cookie texture roller. So I will be rolling this out onto any of my wood trim pieces as well as my roof piece. So those will all have wood trim. And then of course we have our 3 different gnome cookie cutters. So I will be cutting out 3 of those. You can cut out as many as you want. And then their little accessories. So we have our shovel, we have our laundry basket, and we have our little kimono. So when you're ready to get started, also grab some flour so that you can dust any of your surfaces, and you will want to cut out your cookies on parchment paper. So line a few cookie sheets with parchment paper, preheat your oven to 375 degrees, and then roll out those cookie dough balls, working with half of a ball at a time onto your parchment paper and cut it out on the parchment paper. And be sure to roll out your cookie texture roller on any of the relevant pieces before baking so that you get that texture. When you've cut out all of your pieces, make sure that you've baked 2 of the pieces where relevant. So you will need 2 side walls, 2 pieces of tree trim for the side walls, 2 roof pieces, 2 chimney side pieces, and 2 chimney front pieces. So consult your blueprints, make sure that you get 2 of those pieces. And then once you have everything cut out, put it in a 375-degree oven for 10 to 12 minutes or just until it becomes golden. And then remove it and cool it completely for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. While you wait for your cookies to cool, you can make your royal icing mortar. Begin by taking your 3 room temperature egg whites and adding them to the bowl of your stand mixer, and then mix them with the whisk attachment on high for approximately 1 minute or until they're nice and foamy. Once those are foamy, you can begin adding your dry mixture, which is confectioner sugar, cinnamon, and cream of tartar, which I've whisked together. And add that in approximately half-cup increments until it has all been added, whisking well after each addition and incorporating it well. And once it's all in, you'll want to switch to high and mix for approximately 3 to 6 minutes until you have a consistency that is thick enough to hold the house together, but not so thick that you won't be able to push it through a piping bag. Once I have my icing made, I am going to split it in two so that I can make some red and some green, because again, I will be decorating this for Christmas. So if you'd like to do the same, split yours and then color it accordingly, and then you'll have the appropriate icing for decoration. Once all of your pieces are cooled and you have your mortar, we can begin our construction. All of your pieces should look something like this. And here I've arranged everything so that I've overlaid the trim over the piece that it will eventually go on. The trick is that the front piece, the trim for the front, has flat tops. So if you look for the pieces that are smaller trees that have flat tops, those are the ones that go on the front. And you can just look for the ones that align for the window placement. And then for the back, you just look for the one with the really big long arm on it. And for the two side pieces, those are angled at the top. So that's how you can tell. And I did go ahead and also I had brushed a bit of brown luster dust on all of the wood pieces just to give that wood grain texture. And I think it really came out really well. So now that you have your pieces, we can begin our construction. And we will begin by placing first the two lines that we'll use for the foundation of our base structure. Here I have the stand that I'll be using to build my house on. It's just a little cake stand I got at a craft store. And what you want to do is take the side wall of your house and draw a line the entire length of that wall on your platform. And then take your front wall and perpendicular to that line, draw a line the exact length of your front wall where you want that wall to sit on your platform. Those walls will be your guide and will ensure that you have nice squared corners and a nice neat structure. You will want to begin by placing your front wall. So identify your front wall piece. And that is the piece that looks like this. And you will want to start by adding a line of icing along the inside face on the shorter edge on each side, as well as along the bottom edge where it will meet the platform. And actually, before we place this piece, I want to apply my front trim. So what I will do is take these two trim pieces, and before I place this piece, and we will add icing to the back side of each one. So find the one that has the smaller opening at the top, and that is going to nestle right underneath the window on our front wall, and add a few dots of icing along the back of that tree. And then press that down into place, making sure that the tree doesn't stick out beyond the edges of the front wall, because you don't want that to interfere with your construction. Next, we want to take the other tree trim for our front wall, which will go on the other side of our door. Add some icing to the back of that, and then press that down into place on that front wall. And now with that trim applied, we can place this front wall. So I may lose my icing that I applied to the bottom, which is perfectly fine. And again, I will invert that front wall. And now, with the trim applied, apply a line of icing to that bottom edge of the front wall. And then along that shorter edge of the inside face on both sides. Now we can take our piece right side up and press it down into place along that line of icing that we drew representing where our front wall will go, so the longer line. And then you can use a temporary support like a peanut butter jar here in order to lean your front wall up against while you prepare your side wall. And now, just like we did with the front wall, we want to apply the trim pieces to the subsequent walls before we install them. And so I will take each of my side walls and the trim piece for each side wall. And just like we did with the front wall, I will take each piece of trim, add a line of icing to the back, and then press that over my side wall, making sure that it doesn't jet out beyond the edges so it won't interfere with my construction. And then just gently press down. You don't want to break the trim, but you do want to seat it in place. And then I'll set that aside to dry and do the same with the other side wall. And now I will apply the trim to our back wall. And now that we have our trim applied, sorry for missing that step at the beginning, but now that we have our trim applied, we can put our chimney together. So take one of the front or back pieces of your chimney and add a line of icing to the inside face along two sides. And then take the side of your chimney, flip it upside down, and then pressing both pieces against your platform or your surface, press that side piece into one of those lines of icing, and then take your other chimney side piece, again, upside down so that the cutout points up or faces up. Press that into the other line of icing, and then take the back or front of your chimney, Add a line of icing to the inside face on either side. And then pressing that down against your platform, you want to join each of those lines of icing with the sides of your chimney, making a nice squared structure. So here we have our chimney, and I will set that aside to dry. And while that dries, we can resume our construction. Next, we will place one of our side walls. So to do that, we will add a line of icing to the bottom edge of that side wall. And then reinvert it so it's right side up, and then press it down into place along that shorter line of icing, and join it with the line of icing on your front wall so that you get a nice clean corner and squared edges. And just pinch everything together. And at this point, you can remove your support and they will stand on their own. But you'll see that we have a nice clean corner. You can adjust now as necessary. And then we will repeat that process on the other side. So take your other side wall, add a line of icing to the bottom edge, reinvert it so that it's right side up, and then press it down into place against your platform and against that line of icing on your front wall so that you get a nice clean edge and squared corner. Now you'll want to add a line of icing to the edges on the back side of the house. And then take your back wall, flip it upside down, and then add a line of icing to that bottom edge. And then press it down into place and join it with your side walls so that you get a squared structure with nice, clean, neat seams. Next, we will install our back roof. So flip to the rear of the house, and we will install first whichever roof piece looks less perfect. So if there's one piece that you think looks better than the other, reserve that piece for the front. Here, they look relatively the same. So I think I will use this one as the front, and this one will be the back. So when you're ready to install your rear roof, Add a line of icing to the top 3 edges on the back side. And then take your rear roof piece and press that down into place over those lines of icing, and making sure that your roof does not protrude beyond the top peak on either side wall, because you do not want to interfere with the installation of your front roof. And then just gently press that down to ensure a nice fit. And flip around to the front of your house, and next we will install the front roof. So we will add a line of icing along those top 3 edges, as well as along that center roof line. And then take your front roof and press it down into place so that it covers all of those lines of icing, and just pinch everything together to ensure a nice fit. And there we have an enclosed gnome home. What we can do now is install our chimney, provided that it has set up enough. So just manipulate it a little, and if it seems like it's ready to be placed, you can hold it upside down in your hand, add a line of icing to all 4 bottom edges, and then press it down into place anywhere that you like along your roof line. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply little shutters and decorations with some of the cookies that I cut out, and then place my 3 gnomes doing each of their tasks. So I'll place them in the scene, and then I will stop decorating and show you what it looks like before I decorate it for Christmas. Now, if I weren't going to add any Christmas decorations, this is exactly how I would leave it. I think that this is great for any time of year, anytime you want a cheerful woodland gnome-themed house, you can build the Gnome Home. I really love the luster dust. I think that it really added a little bit of dimension so that the tree trim and the tree roof, the tree chimney, all have that beautiful wood grain from our cookie texture roller. And it smells incredible. The ginger spice snap cookie is delicious and it smells great, and I think it would be a welcome addition to any holiday table as a replacement for gingerbread, which can be controversial. I am going to go ahead, and before we light it up and do our conclusion, I will add some Christmas decorations because I did make this the December design, so I really want to finish it off for the holidays. So I will go ahead and using my red and green icing, I will add some decorations, complete the scene, and we can come back and I will provide my insights on how best to serve this. When you've completed your gnome home, hopefully it came out something like this. I have to tell you that this must be my favorite new design because I love the way that the wood grain texture really shows on the roof and on the trim pieces. And it has a really whimsical, quaint, playful gnome quality to it, which I really, really love. Melina, I know that your party is going to be a huge hit, but I really hope that you love this design. I can't wait to hear what you think of it. And I don't know, what do you think? Do you think that this is a place that gnomes would happily call home? Just to walk you through our gnomes, here in the front, we have our laundry gnome with his laundry basket. Here in the back, we have our kimono gnome with the kimono. And then here with his shovel, our garden gnome. And I think decorated for Christmas, this looks really, really adorable. So why don't we go ahead, and because I built this on a stand through which I snaked up a light kit, I can go ahead and turn on the battery light kit. And we have a lighted structure. And so here you have a completed gnome home in ginger spice snap cookie. If you're interested in making Gnome Home yourself, you can buy our cookie cutter construction set on our store at ediblearchitect.com, along with our wood grain cookie texture roller. There you'll also find all of our other designs. We have monthly designs, seasonal, as well as classic designs in order to suit any taste and any occasion. Please feel free to tag us on social media if you do build a cookie house. At Edible Architect is where you can find us, or hashtag Edible Architect. Thank you so much. Happy holidays, and I can't wait to see what you build.